Hi guys, this is for my mama. Hi darling, I miss you and I hope you like this story. This is about our Anzacs, World War One, and it's called Bill the Bastard by Maureen Clifford. I don't know it, so I have to read it, and if I stuff it up, I'm sorry. They named him Bill the Bastard. He was big, tall, strong and tough, but meek enough in manner, though sometimes he cut up rough. But only one thing riled him, and the men were all aware, that there was no riding Bill, he'd send you flying through the air. There were many who tried, oh yes, and always their downfall was thinking he was placid till he bucked, and then they'd sprawl on their backsides in desert dust, and Bill would then come near and look him in the eye and curl his lip and give a sneer. He soon became a favourite of Banjo, who would joke. They shared a great affinity, he'd tell the other blokes. They shared similar attitudes, neither would suffer fools. Throughout their long acquaintance, for Bill, Banjo broke the rules. Bill served in many conflicts, he was at Gallipoli. Still nobody could ride him, but as stretcher-bearer he could carry two men strapped upon his broad and willing back, and carry them to safety through the enemy attack. He took a bullet or two in his time, but carried on. Though wounded, he still galloped, and was cheered on by a throng of diggers there at Anzac Cove, who placed bets he'd get through from Salva Bay with dispatch. They knew what Bill could do. For 7 miles he galloped, taking his own zigzag course, like a rampaging rhino, this brave bloody whaler horse. Was unstoppable, though twice he flinched and twice he broke his pace, both times when bullets hit him, just 2 miles into the race. Banjo was now a major, serving in the Middle East, and reunited with Cheval and Bill the Bastard Beast. 'Twas on the field at Moscar that Bill met Shanahan, the bloke who fed him licorice drops, a gentle kind of man. He knew Bill never would be tamed, but he'd earn his respect, and let the chestnut choose him as a friend, let him connect, to allow them a partnership of sorts to be arranged, with mutual love and trust and understanding then exchanged. It took a while, but Bill came round, let Michael on his back. He was the biggest whaler there, no ladies' riding hack. They fought through many battles. Bill the Bastard knew no fear, for always Michael's soft caress was felt, his voice he'd hear. At Romani, the lines were breached, 20 light horsemen killed. The west flank outpost pulverised, and now with Turks were filled. The sound of Aussie voices Michael heard behind a dune. He turned Bill round and headed there, their path lit by the moon. He called out Tassie troopers, then he called out once again. 4 men on foot now hustled out as Turks tried to restrain. Then Michael told Bill to go hard. The big horse promptly charged, barrelling 2 Turks off their feet, crushing ribs as he barged. "Come on, you blokes, mount him," Mike cried. "Take hold a stirrup each," praying Bill would take note of desperation in his speech. 2 blokes climbed up behind him, 2 more in stirrups stood. "Okay, move on now, Bill," Mike said, and Bill thankfully could. He took the weight of 5 men, dug his hooves into the sand, began to canter, groaning now with every stride he planned. "Go, Bill, go, Cobber," Michael urged. They heard hoofbeats behind, Turks riding stolen whalers, revolver shots firing blind. "We cannot outrun them, boys," Mike said. "Let them get close, aim well. Not easy to do, hanging onto this chestnut from hell." But the Turks were distracted, and now Bill had a clear run to Etmala Aussie headquarters. The Iron Horse had his fun. But soon he indicated he would return to the fray. He'd drunk his fill of water, time they should be on their way. But this time Lady Luck had turned and Shanahan was shot, and Bill the Bastard turned and carried him back at fast trot. To the vet at Atmala, 2 kilometres he ran, with Michael slumped unconscious in the saddle with a gun shot in his thigh that ultimately saw him lose that limb, but still alive to tell the tale. Doubtless 'twas Bill saved him. No more the field of battle for this mighty whaler steed. With no Shanahan to ride him, he'd fill a desperate need. A pack horse he would now become, the biggest and the best. 400 pounds he'd carry, one big heart in one huge chest. October 1918, there was one more card to play. Captain Arthur Alden called troops before the dawn of day. Damascus was the goal, and the 10th Regiment would charge. No kangaroo shoot this would be, but expectation large. The captain had a devious plan, something out of left field, that would confuse the Arabs and he hoped would make them yield. He ordered Bill saddled, stirrups reversed, and called for boots to be placed in them in honour of their now dead troops. 12,000 Turks would see the column proudly being led by a riderless charging horse, the symbol of the dead. Let the men know Bill's a symbol of cobbers not here today. They are gone to God, but still they ride with us in every way. They headed to Damascus, Bill at full pelt, hit with head up, setting a hot pace forward like it was the Jericho Cup. Swords drawn, the cry from Alden came, they galloped straight ahead. Keep close column formation, the men followed where he led. They entered through the town gates, and Bill shouldered clear the way, through crowds to where surrender papers would be signed that day. When remounted, Alden leant over Bill, said tongue-in-cheek, Syria and Damascus conquered, what left for next week? Then orders came advising that all horses must be shot, which didn't sit well with the men, and most of them would not follow this order as it stood. They'd not stand by and see their loyal steeds machine-gunned down by their own artillery. They chose another course and took their mates for one last ride into the desert, where they praised their courage and their pride. So these horses' final moments were with blokes that they did trust. Though coup de grace was swift and clean, the end was far from just. But Bill the bastard, he escaped this fate thanks to a friend. Harry Cheval, to be remount section, had a letter penned, requesting 10 mules or pack horses for Gallipoli to collect artefacts from there for folks at home to see. And so it came to pass that 10 horses were sent plus 2. Seems maths was no one's strong suit there, but what's a bloke to do? They smuggled Bill along with his sweet lady love Penny. Perhaps they said that he was a mule and she a good strong Jenny. And Turks who once had fought against them recognised the pair and promised the Australians that they would keep them there. The village elder, Ahmed, was a pleasant, toothless man who offered £5 for the pair, coin in his gnarled hand. The Aussie blokes refused and said the horses were a gift, but be sure never to ride old Bill, for he will lift you skyward in an instant. Are you sure you understand? They got the nod and left Penny and Bill in their new land. Lest we forget, guys, lest we forget.